Hey y'all, welcome to Other Realm Studio. I'm Paula and this is a baby dragon. So far I've had a lot of good response to this little guy for possibly an enamel pin. So I was gonna, let's see, I need to put a background back on him. Let's see if I can figure out where that is. Oh yeah, paper. Don't think it needs to be green. And I was thinking of testing out a few things. Hey Deborah, how you doing? Yeah, I like him. I think this is one of the cutest dragons I've drawn yet. So I might actually try to sculpt one to look a little bit more like him. He's like an older version of my little hatchling dragons. Let's see, we'll put a new layer in between my line art and the paper and just experiment around with the bucket fill. That's good to hear. Hadn't seen you in a while. So, I sound kind of terrible still, but I don't feel nearly as bad as I was feeling. So, there is that. So, let's see. I don't know yet how many colors I can use in the design, but the pen that I have has several, and it even has a little bit of gold glitter in it. So we've got like 2 shades of blue and a burgundy and some gold glitter in there. So I was thinking it's probably extra to have the glittery color. So I won't worry about that. But I probably will have him some shade of green. I just don't know whether to go with like a teal green or a brighter color. That's more like a pea green. I don't know about that one. Maybe something a little in between. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing this made into pins. See, I don't know. I think the yellow is a little too bright. Of course, now that I have this design, I can put it on like t-shirts and just stuff at Zazzle at my Abstract Realm shop there. Whoops. What did I do? What indeed? I think I just clicked a little extra. So I can see this looking cute on like kids' clothes or wrapping paper or, you know, Actually, it's been a little while since I've checked out what Zazzle has. I was just on there today with, let's drag this down. No, why is it not dragging? Oh, it did. It just... Okay, there it is. So, yeah, I put my fairy design on here. On just one t-shirt. Just to see how it would look. And I'm kind of liking it, except I uploaded it as having a transparent background, but when I put it on the shirt to design it, the transparency did not go with it, and I had to do the treat whites as transparent. Well, that's a little tricky if you've got some of this highlighting down here in, the light and the whites of the eyes and stuff. If you try and put something like that on a darker material, because it'll show right through it. So that's always tricky. So let me see. So yeah, I might end up putting this little guy on some wrapping paper. I was doing a couple of wrapping papers. They're easy to tile. On my mermaid that I did before, the transparency worked out fine. So I don't know what was going on with that. So yeah, I need to get back in there and add a lot more stuff to my store. So today I was working on writing a note to include. Oh, hang on just a second. All right, hang on just a minute. Let me put a note here. I need to put Miss Chaos to bed, or she'll just stay there and holler at me to come and tuck her in and to find her. She's always in her bed. Alright, I will be back in just a minute. Unless she tries to convince me to sing, in which case I don't know how I'm going to do. Okay, I'm back. Still croaky. She made me sing anyway. But I'm glad that I have a voice at all. I was getting a little bit concerned that I was going to lose it entirely one of these days, but allergies aren't too bad, I guess. Okay, now do I want to make this ridge a different color? Because if I do leave it a different color, then I might have to add more line art to it. I don't really know yet. And also, I don't really know how much it's gonna cost for different colors and stuff. Yeah, maybe not pink. Hey, on Twitch we have Pixels joining us. Hey, how you doing? I'm casting to YouTube and Facebook Live and Twitch all at the same time. I'm okay, except for the allergies and sounding a little creaky. I mean, it could be worse. I could sound like Gilbert Gottfried. Oh yeah. Oh, then I would just pretend that I'd lost my voice. Hmm. Either that or I could do a killer impression of Iago from Aladdin. But yeah, I think now I can probably just work on my Kirstie Alley impression instead. Okay, what was I? I don't think I have very much open to work on. I finished that one. I'm not finished with that one, but I'm thinking about scrapping it. It needs more thought before I do anything drastic. What's down here? Hey. Why did this move? Okay, I think what the problem is I'm using the pen when I should be using the mouse. So, yeah, I've got a lot going on here. Oh yeah. Yeah, I've been doing quite a bit lately. This is, see, here's one of my more recent finished pieces. Thank you. So yeah, I do fairies and dragons and mermaids. I've just finished a comic, issue 1 of my comic series. And I've just completed the Kickstarter for it. So here's several of my pages for that. So I've got my cover interior, a lot of bonus art and sketches that I was working on for it. And now all I'm waiting on is for the print run to be printed and delivered, and then I can ship them all out. I'm so excited. I honestly cannot even believe it. Yeah, I didn't really think that I'd be able to fund the entire amount that I needed. Oh man. If you don't care too much about the paper stock, newsprint, they've got better newsprint stock now and better printing techniques now. And so I've got mine printed through Alterna Comics printer partnership program. And like you can get a 32-page comic. Let's see, you pay for pre-press, which they keep that very reasonable, but you can get like 50 cents a piece for your issues. And you can go as low as 500 copies. Yeah, I had this huge whiteboard full of details for the different printers and stuff, and I couldn't get my copies down under like $4 or $5 a piece for me to pay for them, and then who's going to pay more than that for an indie comic? Yeah, well, you also have to add in like $50 pre-press, and then you have to have them shipped to you. But it's very reasonable. So, yeah, it's totally doable now. And if you want to see what Alterna Comics look like, because they piggyback them onto their own press runs. Yeah. And shipping will vary. But yeah, oh man, it's awesome. I never would have been able to afford my own print runs if I hadn't been cruising through like Alterna and oh wait, that's the JPEG. Going through Twitter and seeing what's going on with the indie comics industry going on, and I could see. Hang on. I'm losing track of what I'm doing here. Okay. And I picked up on Alterna Comics, and I just thought it was really interesting because at the time they were getting their comics into Toys R Us. This is a few years ago, before Toys R Us went bust, but they were really working hard to get thank you, to get the comics like out there in regular stores and bring in some new customers and stuff. Yeah, I think my old horse here needs a bit of work. Come on, the zooming in is always a little tricky. It does not need to be that zoomed in. Come on. Yeah. Well, that's how I thought I was going to have to do mine, but even that's expensive. So, yeah. Yeah, and it really looks good. And the comics that Alterna puts out on their with like their regular stuff. They publish just a lot of really fun, quirky comics, really interesting creator-owned stuff, but they generally try to stick to miniseries, and my series is going to be like 10 issues. Yeah, so mine wasn't a good fit for their, for submitting, but it was a good fit for their printing program, as it turned out. And their prices on their comics, if you want to check them out, it's $1.50 for a comic. And I think shipping is a flat $5. So you can order direct. I mean it. These people are great. And I really appreciate how they're, innovative and, trying to find new stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about Canada. But they did say that the other thing you can do is you can find a web press that will do newsprint and also like the glossy cover. And see, that's how they can get theirs done so cheap. But, when the important thing is the story, you can always come out later with like this collector's edition on archival quality paper. But if what's important is the story and getting the story out there, and you don't have a fan base yet because nobody's taken a chance on your comic, you need to have it at a price point where people will take chances on you. Oh yeah, print on demand's really, really expensive. I mean, especially when you're doing like full color. So yeah, I looked at the usual suspects like Kablam and all. But I go to some local comic cons, and I needed to be able to buy my own comics and take them with me. Usually, mostly what I do at comic cons is face painting, and I make cosplay accessories, a lot of goggles, a lot of steampunk, and I sculpt these little dragons to guard your change jar and stuff like that. But I've always wanted my own comic. And yeah, now it's possible. I'm so excited. I can't wait to get to my next con. I'm a little bit sad though, because I kind of thought that my next con would be the one that they did at the library a couple of counties over, and they decided they're not doing that one anymore. So I really like that library con. Yeah, my heart is broken. So, I mean, they were so nice to the vendors. They'd help load out and everything. I mean, it was wonderful. Also, they were extraordinarily organized. I highly recommend a library con. Like, those ladies know how to get stuff done. Just the locals. I'm in South Carolina, so none of the local ones are exactly giant. I need to get down to Dragon Con in Atlanta sometime. That's probably going to be the closest, most in reach one, but I probably won't be able to set up there. Yeah, there's like this. Yeah. Most of what I do is kind of on a shoestring. Well, my inspiration on my comic was more than just comics. Really, a lot of Avatar The Last Airbender. I mean, technically not a comic. I guess it was later. And there's a webcomic that I was reading. It's finished now, so I'm excited to collect all the volumes in print now. It was Megan Kearney's Beauty and the Beast. I love that one. It was all in black and white, but she had very stylish lines. I mean, just incredible work. And it was kind of a halfway manga inspired style. I was saying two words at once. Yeah. Well, I guess it's kind of recent. I just backed a Kickstarter for one. The Mythoverse. Actually, it's for 3 comics, but I opted to get the print version of Changeling and Urban Fairy Tale because that one sounds really cool. It's about a girl who was adopted, and then when she's like 14, she discovers she's actually half banshee. And I thought that was a fantastic concept. That sounded fun. And yeah, I do like a lot more of the YA, the young adult kind of genre. I like the tone better. I think you have to work a little harder on your plot and stuff. Yeah, when you can't really just rely on shock value, it kind of makes you push a little harder for, what's the real story about. So that's what I was trying to do with mine. It's a little bit more of a YA tone. It's got some creepy stuff and some horror and some Greek myth and some cryptids and some weird stuff going on. But it's not gory. There's not like a lot of fan service going on in it. I really wanted to push myself to do a good story first and foremost. So my comic's called Soulbound. It is adventure and romance and psyche. So this is Becca, which actually she On the cover, she looks a bit different because I got it. I didn't do the line art for this. Whoops. I'm doing the thing where I use the pen and the pen does not like it. So I got Mia Pierce to do the line art for my comic because I love her style. I mean, it just looks so alive to me. It just flows and is so expressive. I mean, I just really love how she's done this. And so I've done the colors. And then I hired Wes Loker to do the lettering because, yeah. So Mia's done the line art and then I did the colors. And also I like her panel layouts. She's been able to take my script and just improve it so much. Let's see. And I had tried to do my own lettering, and I just didn't know enough. Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, as I was starting to, way back when I tried to do the entire thing by myself, when you try to do stuff and then you realize just how little you really know, it's time to bring in help. So I knew that Mia was going to do a much better job than me. And really, I've hardly pushed her at all. I cannot wait until we get more into, like, on the second issue, when we're, like, fully in the other world and there's, like, monsters coming out of the woodwork and fight scenes and all that stuff. I'm so excited to see what she can do. It's going to be awesome. And Wes Loker, he came in. See, he's done lettering for several of Alterna Comics books, and he's got his own comic out there. It's called Unit 44, and it sounds hilarious. I need to just order it. But it's about a couple of guys who work for Area 51, and they're in charge of the storage unit for it, and they accidentally don't pay for the storage unit. So it gets auctioned off, and then they find out, and then they have to go, like, round up all their alien artifacts, which attack them and stuff. So yeah, that's Unit 44 by Wes Loker at Alterna Comics. That's next on my list. So I have found so many cool comics and so many cool people. I mean, I've just been incredibly lucky. So yeah. Becca here falls into another world of magic and monsters and myths, and her time is rapidly running out because of an interesting wrinkle in I have a theory that when you fall from the dimension you belong in to the next one, your soul is going to be homesick and try and return back. And if you can't go back the way you came, it's going to go there without the rest of you. So she needs to return home before that happens. Well, hobby or career? That's an interesting question. And you got good questions. It's not exactly a hobby, and it's not exactly a career. Like, I don't have to make a living at this. I'm in pretty good shape here. I don't have to on on like a survival level. Yes, it is a passion. I I have to for me. I have to on like this deep human level. I feel like I have all these stories in me and I have a difficult time communicating them sometimes. And that's one reason why I started doing art streams is because I couldn't talk. I'd start to talk about what I'm working on and I'd just freeze up. So here I am doing art streams and trying to get used to talking about what I want to get across to people. So in short, really, rather than a hobby or a career, I think I want it to be a legacy. Yeah, nobody lives forever. And all my stuff is eventually going to be garbage. It's going to get thrown out someday. But what I've created, that's going to be around forever. I don't want to be depressing. Look, this is my immortality, and it's about, I mean, it is me. It's very me. If my immortality is going to be something, it might as well be fairy tales and myths and legends. And who knows? Like my great-great-grandchildren are going to be like doing their ancestry.com research or whatever, or school project or whatever. And they're going to be like, great-great-great-grandma once made a comic about what? Then look, I'll like make a animated series out of it too. Won't that be fun? Oh, yeah. Well, I'm trying to teach myself animation, but I mean, I guess I can hope that it goes better than teaching myself lettering. Everything's practice. I want to learn so much stuff. Thank you, autosave. Come on. Yeah. I love it too, though. Yeah, I love all kinds of different media. And I want to at least know a little bit about each one. Enough to where I understand, oh yeah, enough to where I understand how to talk to people if I ever get the money to hire it out. Like, it was really helpful for me to first try to make my own comics before I hired Mia. to do the line art, and it was very helpful for me to try to do the lettering before I hired Wes. Not only do you know a little bit about the struggles with it, but it also gives you a lot of humility that you kind of need before you work with people. But yeah, I mean, I like the classic Disney stuff. Well, yeah, if you know what you're doing. But I didn't know any of the conventions for lettering. Like, I didn't know, what size are things supposed to be. And how far from the edges you're supposed to do stuff. So I just kind of eyeballed the entire thing, and to somebody who knows what they're looking at, it was obviously very off. So yeah, it's all learning. I didn't have like a textbook to look at. I have bought a textbook on animation though. So since this is Clip Studio Paint EX, hang on, brain's going in two different directions. Yeah, the EX version has some animation capabilities, so I thought I'd try that out. I've gotten a very good bouncing ball. I guess that's what you got to start with anyway. The animation textbook that I got was the Animator's Handbook. That's what it was. So it's, where have I put it? I don't think it's on the shelf. I think it's where I was last reading it. Preston Blair. It doesn't sound familiar. I don't know. Where have I set that book? I swear. I treat books like a dog treats a bone. You bring it wherever you think you're going to get back to it, and then you forget where you put it. Maybe it's more of a squirrel in a nut thing. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I started off as an art major, and then I did not fit in very well in art. Like, there was this whole philosophy and way of doing things, and a lot of assumptions that I just could not get on board with. I just could not fit in. So I quit and went to a different college and got a degree in English instead. It's kind of hard to explain. So I had an advisor who was not great. He did not have a good sense of how to plan, and he taught me into a class that he taught. And I get to the class, and it's nothing. it's like sit in your seat and he'll mark you as there, and nobody ever brought in like their homework, like he'd assign it, and nobody ever brought it in. Everybody still passed. And that was kind of disturbing. And then it turned out that the final exam was show up on the right day and sign your name on a sheet and leave. And he wasn't even going to be in there at the class that day. And this is a class that he taught me into signing up for that broke up my day so that, my campus was like an hour away from my house. It broke up my day so that I would get out of one class at noon and his class is at 2, and I had to sit there and wait for it. Twice a week. And there's like nowhere to eat, so I had to pack my lunch. And I still had, like, my problem with talking to people was not any better in those days. So I didn't like have friends to hang out with there. And pretty much I hung out in the computer lab and tried to teach myself the word processing program. But it wasn't just that it was horrifically inconvenient. It was an insult. And he's acting like we should all be so grateful that his class is so easy and expects absolutely zip from any of us. And I'm sitting there going, I can feel my life draining from me, wasting. I think he was on his way to retiring, resting on his laurels with some minor fame that he had earned in his 20s or so. But yeah, it just really soured me on art. It was like, you're supposed to either, with your art degree, you're supposed to either become a teacher or get government grants. And if you get government grants, you can't make like pretty things. You got to make like giant, rather ugly art installations. And if you go for like commercial art or for comic books or other kinds, just the kind of art that you consume every day, or design logos or whatever, then that's not really art. I mean, it was just, I couldn't wrap my head around it. Like, we were supposed to come up with our mission statement in one class. Yeah, I've seen some really great logos. Just things that, they can be taken to mean two different things, and both of them are perfect. I mean, like that level of abstract design. And I also love like the more detailed ones. Sometimes there's a reason. I mean, it's like you can find out a lot about a company, about a brand, about even a person, if it's like a small business, based on their logo. And it's like a very shorthand way of getting to know somebody. There's no reason to be snobby about something like that. That is a purpose. But, a lot of our mission statements were not like profound enough. And see, all I ever wanted to do was communicate, and, historically, it's not been easy. Yeah, I can, it seems like when I was younger, I got misunderstood a lot. So now talking to people is just a little freaky. And now that I'm older, I realize that a lot of times when it was, especially like a group of girls that were like my age or a little older, is part of a game that they play. Like, they know perfectly well what you mean, but it's part of a game where they, like, take it at the absolute worst possible meaning and, get you down over it. This little power trip that, like, middle school girls do. Actually, I think it's girls getting even younger than middle school now doing that. And, it's not good. So that's one of the things that, if I have any influence over the culture, oh yeah. Me too. I did kind of think that you might be because you ask really good questions. I can't do like small talk chatting stuff. So yeah, if I'm gonna take the yeah, if I'm gonna take the time to really have a conversation with somebody, I would like that to actually have, something memorable in it. Oh, let's see, did not mean to do that on that layer. Yeah. So, yeah, when I realized that I would have to like publicize my comic, well, first I freaked out for a bit. And then I realized that I can do that behind a screen. And let's see. This shape is not quite turning out the way I want it to. Let me think that over. Yeah, I feel like I've got, I feel really scattered. But also I can tell that I'm getting like closer and closer and closer to my screen, so it's like right up against my eyeball. It's just this little bit right here is just really tricky. I mean, the hands are really important, though. Like, hands are just about as important as faces. I mean, there's almost the same level of detail going on. And also, it's a little bit more prone to the uncanny valley effect. Yeah. Thumbnail right here, it's not quite what I'm going for here. I think the thumb needs to be a little narrower. No, I didn't have very many art classes. after abandoning it for the other thing that I did well in, which was English. But I have done some studying on my own. And, you know, I always check out the tutorial things. I can draw from life really well. But, you know, you can't really look at your own hands while you're drawing with them. Hard to get the angles right, you know? Yeah. I could get my kids, try and make them stay still. Yeah, so this one I haven't really used any photo reference for, and you know, I really should have. But this is a little concept piece. Mostly it's for me. So I can work on it as much as I like. So as far as the art goes, couldn't stay away from it entirely during my other more than half of my college career. So while I was an English major, I also ended up taking a summer art class. So that filled me in. I had a really good teacher for that one. His name was Mr. Canaris. He told us to just call him Mr. K. But he was so nice and so soft-spoken, and he was just a really sweet person. And he's like the most non-judgy person in the world. So, the only trouble I had in that class was that I was sitting next to this girl who, her thing that she would say for every class was, "I'm not an artiste. I can't do this." And she'd like freak out and panic and not draw anything. And, you know, I'd be sitting there going, "Okay, you got this. You can do this." And I'd try and coach her through it, but she ended up actually, and see, this is what sold me on this teacher. She did not ace this class, even though she showed up every day and sat in her seat and had her paper in front of her, and it was only a summer class. She did not ace this class. Now, she would have at the other college. Or, well, with the other teacher. Yeah, she, I heard her asking why. Why didn't she get a better grade than that? I don't know if it was a C or a D. But I mean, even though the teacher was the nicest person in the world, he said, you didn't do the work. Like, you came in here and you talked about the work, and I tried to get you started on the work every single day, and you never did the work. And so, I mean, I don't know. I mean, she was a sweet girl. I don't know how much she appreciated that, but I appreciated that. I showed up and I did the work. I'll say he didn't. No, like, she wouldn't put her pencil on the paper and make marks. Like, she spent so much time freaking out that she didn't get that much done. And he really, really wanted to give her some kind of grade, but she would not put marks on the paper. Yeah, if she'd done anything at all, then he would have given her a good grade. But it wasn't one of those show up and pass classes. Yeah, I miss being able to spend the time on it and have the concentration on it. Like, now I start this art stream 9 o'clock Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday because I tuck in my kids at 9 and I'm kind of off duty for a little bit. I mean, they are wonderful, but it's a little hard to do stuff for yourself when you got other people. Let's see. I think I may have done something odd with the layers on this section. So I'm going to have to go back in and see what I've done. It's been a few days since I worked on this one. And it's getting late. Gotta sleep sometime. But thank you for coming and hanging out with me. I appreciate it. And, yeah, it would be great if you'd, like, check out my work sometime. Oh, well, thank you for coming by. Yeah, it was wonderful talking to you. Thank you so much. Oh, yeah. My website is www.otherrealmstudio.com. I think I have one of these pictures. Let's see. Is it this one? No, that's the other one. Let's see. I know I've saved one of these. Oh no. Oh, I had my word processing. Thank you. I had my word processing program crash earlier today when I was halfway through writing a thing, and I feel like I lost an hour of my life. I'll just type it. I can't type it directly in the chat from here. but I can. There. I can put it up here. Yeah, I have the Restream.io chat box thing going on, but I don't have the. I can only see what the chat says. I don't have a box to type in on this one. Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I have a newsletter that every now and then I actually remember to send out. And I should be doing some updates soon. Since I've got issue 1 of my comic to get out. Oh no! Yeah, I haven't got the hang of Twitch yet. Well, if you can still hear me, I appreciate you coming by. It was wonderful talking to you. I'll see you in the other realm. Good night.